Coach, can you kind of sum up just what it's going to be like honoring all the players you have for tomorrow's game against Providence?
Yeah, no, it it's really what college basketball is all about. Celebrating really the growth, the development, the track record, the career and history of all these guys. What's different, and I think it's different at all places, is they come in a lot of different forms today. Years ago, you watched a young person come in as a freshman most of the time, and grow within your own program, and you got to know who they are. You've watched them, and you almost can't believe that 4 years goes by that fast, and boom, they're off and running. And I think you have immense pride in just what they've done, what they've become, and you certainly wish them all the best when they leave your program. These days it's different because we have a number of guys that have been with us for about a year, and then you have Zach and Jerome, especially in Zach's case, start to finish, wire to wire. It seems like he's been here a long time, and quite frankly, he has. So has Jerome, even though his career didn't start here. So, all of them you care about, you love a lot, you think about, you worry about, and I think you really respect, most importantly, all the efforts that they've given Xavier, our program in this university. And I think to a man, the seniors that we're celebrating, although they do come in different forms, how long they've been here, et cetera, I think they've really come in here. They've had tremendous attitudes. I know they've grown. I know they've given us a lot of work and a lot of efforts on their end. And, you respect and appreciate everything about this type of day, senior day.
Is that aspect challenging where you're so used to developing guys for 4 years coming in as freshmen to what it is now, or is that just something new in college basketball that you've had to adjust to?
No, it's challenging, but it's an adjustment. It's a new way. All of us, it's not exclusive to Xavier. You want to see growth, development, familiarity, comfort, all those words when it comes to a player that chooses your program. And if it's 9 months or a year that we're allowed to be with them, we want to maximize that both on our end but also on their end, so they leave here more prepared for life, more prepared for a career in this game. And then when they reflect, all of us hope that they reflect back on the good times and the bad, and most importantly, I think the lessons that they learned while they were here. But it's a challenge for every coach, every staff, not just because there's different versions, but you think about it, they all form one team. So you have somebody who may have chosen Xavier at 18 years old, like Dalen Swain, who's making his way through his career. And then you have others that are here in a graduate year, right, who've been at another program for 4 years, and they'll only be with us for one. Not only the challenge of dealing with both of them separately, but remember, they have to come together and be teammates and be on a team and believe in what we're doing, even though their path is completely different. So I think that's the challenge for a coaching staff in today's world of college sports, not just basketball.
Do you think there are going to be more Zachs, maybe not as long as he's been here, but playing the beginning and end of their career at the same school, or has the sport changed too much to allow for that to happen?
I think there'll be less Zachs, but I do hold optimism that there'll be future Zachs, right? Maybe not as many, where you have, it wasn't too long ago you would have a recruiting class and you would watch them walk together. Once in a while, one of them would leave early. A lot of players that I've coached to be a pro, sometimes it doesn't work out at your particular place for either party, and they choose to go to another program. That's their choice. But for the most part, you think back to that class, and you watch them march through your program, and they leave together. They came in together, they leave together. I think there'll be less of that. But I do remain optimistic, and on our end, we want to still have that component where you're able to have these guys as young freshmen and watch them grow and develop and mature before your eyes, get a great education, and one day leave here as a graduate. So I think for us it's a blend, and we haven't given up on that.
Using Dante as an example, I'm curious about how you view the development of a guy now that you maybe are bringing in for 1 year, because, I mean, there is value attached to these guys, and you're trying to get something out of them while you're here, and they're being paid for that. You always want to hold a guy accountable, but is there now more of a sense of urgency to be like, well, we do have to, he's only going to be here for the rest of this year, right? There's no sense in trying to get him ready for next year. How do you balance that while you're going through a season?
Yeah, no, I think you have to put the blinders on more now than ever before, and it's about one thing. It's about this team. It's about this week, this game. And you always have a bigger picture when you're running an organization. We certainly do. But it can't be about anything other than what is the best for all of us to be at the best we can be tomorrow against Providence. And I think it's that singular purpose that then takes care of itself when you look at, it doesn't matter if you're here for 1 year or for 4, you're always going to get our best shot, the most work, the most detail that we can give you in trying to bring out the best in our team and you as a player for the purpose of now the present. And, it's tough sometimes not to reflect back, and it's equally difficult not to move forward. But I think in sports today, what we try to do is really be about the present, this week, this game, today's practice. And somebody like Dante Maddox, the example of being here with us for 1 year, he maximizes his time here. If you are always thinking in those terms and really executing that as well, that brings out the best in him.
Coach, with how much experience is on this roster this year, how much fun do you have as a coach being able to coach this group and have a dialogue with them, whether it's in a huddle at a game or at practice, and trusting that if they see something on the court, they can come back to you with feedback and you can trust their ability to read a play or whatever that is? How much fun is that for you as a coach?
Yeah, I mean, experience is still very valuable, and it doesn't mean that experience has to come because you're in your 5th year in college. That's speaks for itself. You've been around the block, you're older, you've seen a lot. But there's also experience of a young player like a Dalen Swain, who's now been in the Big East for 2 full years, who knows Xavier really well, knows our program really well at this point. He now has unique experience as well. If you think about it, being here for 2 years in the role that he's had this year. So I think there's always that give and take between a coach and the players. You learn a lot through them. I'll give you one example. I think we have a more battle-tested, older group in general. We also have more access to our players now than ever before. Our calendar begins right at the beginning of June, and you're able to do team things for a longer period of time. We've taken more days off towards the end of the year. And I don't mean that in a lazy aspect of, hey, have fun today, but a day to recover. Whereas, years ago, you would worry about taking too many days off because you only have X number and you have to maximize those days to be ready, to be better. But sometimes I think in our new model, especially with older players, that it's to their best interest on game day if you've given them an opportunity to recover. Davion McKnight doesn't need more practices at this point. He just needs to feel confident. He needs to be prepared, and his body has to feel good so that he can be the best he can be on game day. So practicing for 2 hours, again, this is my opinion, in early March, there's a time and place for that, but we've really relied on our players' feedback to make that adjustment, and I think that's been an adjustment that's paid dividends for us.
And I know you obviously have still a lot of goals that you want to accomplish for this season, but just looking at the amount of talent that this team will lose after this season, that's going to walk tomorrow at senior day, how does that affect what you can do for this program and how you build this program, going forward?
Yeah, everybody's going to lose a ton of talent. If you look at Auburn, and again, I'm not Auburn's coach, but I'm a fan of Bruce Pearl, and clearly they're one of America's best teams. They're going to lose a lot. I think if you look at Alabama right down the road, and they have an amazing program, probably be a 1 seed, they're going to lose a lot. Duke has a younger roster, but I'd be willing to bet you that if you look at their roster, they're going to lose a lot to infinity. It's the way of the world. We all have to adjust, and now we have to make good choices and, continue to build and grow in the way that we've set out to do. It's a great investment by everybody. There's a lot of moving parts in building a roster, but I think you have to build your program today by building a true one roster at a time and do the best that you can.
How do you guys handle that right now, this time of the year, given that we're just weeks away from the transfer portal opening, which are arguably the most important days of the college basketball season from a roster building standpoint? Do you have certain members of your staff that are starting to worry about that now as you guys are getting ready for the postseason, or what do you do there?
I mean, we're always aware of recruiting, but, it's similar to the answer that I gave you earlier, where at this time of year, I think there's a lot of things that you can start to think about that really just aren't in front of you yet. This spring is a lot of change. Change with coaches, change with staff members, change with losing, key players from this season, et cetera. But we're just not there. And I do believe that the team that can remain focused on the task at hand, today's practice being at our very best. This is our last home game of the year, and playing against a hard-playing team in Providence. Like, can we beat Providence? Can we be at our best against Providence? And it's like that focus has a way of taking care of the future. So we're not really there yet. We're really about, let's have a great weekend here against Providence, finishing out our regular season.
Coach, what do you hope this Cintas crowd that's going to be sold out tomorrow, what do you hope this crowd knows and appreciates about every player that's going to walk for senior day and what they've given to this program?
Well, number one, I think we have a very unselfish group. We have a hard-working group. We have a group of guys that are committed. They love the game. They have worked their way through the highs and the lows of a college basketball season, and they've remained very focused on the present of being good and staying with it. And I think there's a lot to celebrate when you have a team that has those characteristics. I'll also say that, at Xavier, if we truly are about sustained success, and we have a basketball program that we're so proud of, the tradition, we believe in the future, having a huge home court advantage, that's part of what you have to have. You have to have a great home court advantage. It can't be a good home court advantage. There's a lot of programs that have that. A big game, yeah, your fans show up. If you're really playing well, your fans show up. But we want to have the type of program where these 17 home games a year at Cintas are everything. Where we have not just a great student section, but a great home crowd. We show up. And, again, when you think of the iconic, historic, best programs in college basketball that have been able to do it for more than a couple decades, it's going to be synonymous with the name of their home court because of how it feels, the crowd. And I think Cintas Center and Xavier basketball, that's what we want to continue to have. So this is our final opportunity, and hopefully our team can make our crowd proud, and I hope our team can feed off of our crowd. We're going to need them.